Alright, in this video I'll show you how to diagnose mowers, or show you how I diagnose commercial mowers. In this video we got two different types of lawnmowers, engines here that you'll see pretty often on most commercial mowers. This is a Kawasaki carbureted engine, and then we got the Kohler over here, which is actually fuel injected. But they're both pretty similar as far as trying to diagnose it, and I'm just going to go over your common issues and kind of what I look for. So hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, just comment at the bottom. We'll start over here on the carbureted one. The batteries out of it, but the battery goes right here. There's your positive and your negative. So basically, say the machine's not starting, first thing I do is I check the voltage on the battery. If you don't know how to do that, you can find a video online real quick. You're just going to take a voltage meter, put it to the 20 volts, put it on black, put it on red, and see what you got. You need to have it around 12 volts. Once you do that, I would check, see if you got power going down to, you're going to want to see power going down to the starter. There's your starter and your solenoid right there, and that green wire down there at the very bottom. I'll try and get it there. I'll pull it here so we can see this wire. You want to go ahead, you can put the positive to this, the negative to the battery or to the ground somewhere, and you're going to want to turn the ignition switch to the crank position, and that should be getting 12 volts. If that's getting 12 volts, everything's working. It's most likely a bad starter or a bad solenoid. For some reason, if you don't have 12 volts on your battery, it could be a bad battery, or it could be your voltage regulator, or a loose connection. A lot of times it's something has come along and pulled, this is your charging wire, has knocked that charging wire off, or it's blown the fuse for the charging system, or it's burnt this wire. I've seen that too, and that happens when it's like a loose connection. So that's something I also look for. So that's if your battery doesn't have 12 volts. If it's a dead battery, it could be just old, but if it's not old, and somebody didn't leave the ignition switch on overnight and kill it, then you check this voltage regulator, which I'll show you on the other one. It's very similar. Same with the starter situation. It's the exact same on the other one. And you just make sure that red wire is connected, and that wire sometimes goes into the wire harness and throughout the system, but a lot of the one of the updates that Kawasaki sent out was actually just take that wire and go down to your starter wire down here. So a lot of times you'll see that as well, so you can check for that. And if your system's charging, you'll have over 13 volts when you check the battery when the machine's running. So that's just basically the first things I look for as far as getting the machine to crank over. That's all that starter's responsible for, is turning that flywheel. So we'll go over to the machine real quick, and I'll show you the exact same setup. There's your battery. Positive goes down to your starter. That's how you can find your starter. So there's your starter here. And as far as the remote turn-on wire, get this crap out of the way. It's this blue wire right there. So, usually you'll have like 3 wires going to one stud on the solenoid like that, and then over there it'll be just one single wire by itself, and that's the remote turn-on wire. We talked about the voltage regulator in this situation. It's on the other side here. There's the voltage regulator. I'm trying to get a better picture there. All right. And in this case, your 2 white wires are the one that are going to the stator. Your charging wire is going to be that's your charging wire there. So that's the one that's putting out more than 13 volts when it's running. So very similar situation there. Another issue that comes along often is the blades. Say my blades aren't turning on. Well, what you need to do, there's multiple ways you can go about it, but you need to verify that you got 12 volts going all the way down to your clutch. That's all it is. So you go down to your clutch, which is down there underneath the machine. Right there's your clutch. Check check to see where the wires go. Sometimes they unplug from the clutch, sometimes they are hardwired into the clutch and unplug further up in the system. But with the machine off, you want to get under there, unplug it, and then what you can do is just turn the ignition switch to the on position. You don't have to start the machine, and you can pull up on the PTO, make sure all the safety switches are disengaged, like the parking brake's not on, make sure the rider awareness switch is being pushed down, everything you would normally do to get the blades work, and check your voltage on your voltage regulator. And if you got 12 volts down there, you may have a bad clutch. So that's the first thing you do to verify, okay, is it a bad clutch or is it something along the way, like simple as it could be a bad PTO switch right there, or fuse popped somewhere along the way, or a wire got chewed up. That's what happens a lot of times, is you're losing the 12 volts along the way. You won't have 12 volts when you go down there to check the clutch, and it's because the wires got caught, something hit the wire, it got chewed up, it wasn't strung right last time somebody replaced it, or who knows. The reason the clutch didn't work on this one is because it had been sitting for so long, and the belt had basically like settled, like it like glued itself around the clutch, so it wasn't allowing it to spin. So I just got it free by hand, and then I was able to get the clutch going on this one. Same setup,